jokes. You ready? Want to go first or me?
I'll go first.
You got it, man. Let's do it.
All right. So my son was chewing on electrical cords. I had to ground him.
So that way he didn't get zapped. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So why do seagulls have to fly over the sea?
Why?
They flew over the bay, they'd be called bagels.
Delicious.
Today we're hitting up February. This is the cold time of year. That's why I think they do Valentine's Day, to make everybody feel a little warmer, because it's cold.
Yeah. Skin's very dry and itchy, and it's just, this is about the time we go, we have the snow. Christmas is over. Let's just move on to warm weather. But we still have a good 60 days left of this.
Plus, there's so much more. March has got everything.
Yeah.
Everything. It's got March Madness basketball. It's got St. Patrick's Day. Like, what else could you want from a month?
You're a big March guy.
I'm a big March guy. That's right.
Yeah. But Dave Matthews wrote Ants Marching. It was about you.
That's Billy's marching.
Yeah, Billy's marching. Yeah. Right.
Let's talk about February, man.
Okay.
We're going to start with the stuff you don't like doing, but we're going to do it anyway, just because we got to give the people what they want.
Yeah.
Rates, they're not jumping down as quickly as we thought. We knew they were going to be a slow, gradual drop, but it's kind of popped up a few times and stuff here too. What is going on?
I mean, generally speaking, things are very volatile.
Yep.
We do have an election year, so tinfoil hat. Some of the reports that come out, inflation reports, jobs reports, things that normally would dictate mortgage rates. Maybe the books are being cooked a little bit. Maybe some things are being overstated and then corrected later. The problem is when you have these inflation reports, some of the reporting is a little bit flawed. The shelter component of the CPI report, which is the reason why rates kind of spiked this week, is the CPI came in hotter than expected.
Got it.
The shelter component of that is so large, and how do they come up with that shelter component? They literally call and ask people, what would your house rent for if you were to rent it? Nice. So they're relying on surveys, which not everybody participates in, and you're talking about an American homeowner that really truly doesn't know what. Yeah. So there's some, it's not great data, but it's what is relied upon. And so when we get a hot CPI report, the mortgage bond market then falls off a cliff and rates go up. Yeah. We always hope that next one is going to supersede the one previously. So we do have a PCE report this week, and hopefully we get some good news there. But generally speaking, that's what I've said, is that hopefully by the end of this year, rates are better. And I think that if you look at more of a broader perspective, by the time that 2024 is over, we would say, yes, rates decrease, but it's going to be choppy. It's going to be volatile.
That's part of it too, is people are ready.
Yeah.
And so that patience level is not there because they're ready to go. Mm-hmm. They want to make the purchase. Their house is either too small, or they're looking at the equity they've built up and all the work they've done. They're ready to move out, move on, do things like around spring, summertime. So there's a little level of anxiety. So they're getting there. And you're going to get that question a million more times, I assume.
There's we've always said this in these videos, that there's no better time than now. And it feels, sometimes it feels like, okay, we're saying that it's a good time because rates were low. This was 2020, 2021. It feels like a good time because there's a lot of inventory. Now is a good time because rates are high and there is no inventory.
There's nobody out there. Yeah.
And so why is that? It's because that you have so many people sitting on the sidelines. So we've been nailing that. We've been trying to drive that nail home on these videos for quite a while, and what the opportunity is in sort of this down market, so to speak, because I would just hate to see somebody wait for rates to fall, and on the surface that sounds like a great idea. Well, of course, cheaper money,
more competition.
More buying power, but then more competition later means prices will go up and things of that sort. So I totally get it if you say we want to wait until rates fall, but I would love to tell you why that's probably the inaccurate way of going about this.
So the shifting gears, we have a lot of the folks still sitting on the sidelines just because the prices have gone up. Rates are still a little bit up. It's coming up with that money.
Yeah.
That really honestly has been most of our crutch. I've had a few people that have decided to go on and rent instead, having a hard time coming up with those funds. Yeah. We've talked about things like, for example, a bridge loan. So let's start with there. What is a bridge loan and how does it work?
a bridge loan basically allows you to tap into some of the equity in your current property that you own and then apply that to a new purchase so that you don't have to be contingent upon your sale.
Okay.
So if someone that currently owns a home and they're not necessarily willing to go non-contingent because they either want to use some of those funds or they're just fearful of having two mortgages, a bridge loan is a way to carry that equity into the new purchase without having to sell that first house. Now you do have to have your house listed for sale before we can close that bridge loan. So you at least have to show us as the mortgage lender that, hey, we are eventually going to sell this and then pay that bridge loan off. But it is a way to carry that forward. So if you're someone that has a ton of equity and you want to tap into it to apply to the new house, that makes perfect sense. You want to have a lower mortgage payment or go non-contingent. This allows you to do it without selling it.
There's a lot of the folks that are like newborns, pets, things of that nature. This is also a good option if you have that equity. Yeah. Listing your house, let's face it, is not the most convenient thing ever. It's just part of the process.
Sure.
But if you have all those things going on, the bridge loan allows you to move on to that next one and kind of ease that transition a little bit as well.
Absolutely. So, and ideally, let's say you close your bridge loan in March and you close on your new purchase in March as well. Ideally, you would sell your other home by May or so, which is when that first bridge payment would be due. So what we normally say is, look, if your house is priced properly and you sell quickly, you may not make a bridge loan payment. At very worst, you make one.
Yep, that's the goal.
And it's interest only, so you're talking about, you're not putting towards principal. So the payment is not hateful, but hopefully it's only one that you're actually making on the bridge loan before it's paid off.
Other places people have dipped into retirement funds or various interests, like those kinds of savings accounts type things. Do you speak to people about those, or how far do you take that?
I always try to defer to the financial advisor.
Good catch.
You're right. So I'm not a financial advisor. Yeah. I sort of know that how to qualify for a mortgage, and we need an asset, we need a down payment, and this is something that you have, and it's sitting there. Yeah. But does it make the most sense to actually use those funds, because there are a lot of tax liabilities to that, and that's just not something that I'm privy to, and I'm not licensed to make advice. So I can present that as an option and then say, I would like you to talk to your financial advisor about this option. But better yet, if you have something like that, go ahead and talk to your financial advisor now. Just say, hey, this is in the cards. We're thinking about buying a house. We're moving to a different state, or we're trying to buy a second home or whatever. What in my investment portfolio do you give your blessing on me utilizing? And your financial advisor, that's really what they're there for.
Yep. And then the one thing I'd add to that, once you talk to your advisor, make sure you have some kind of plan in place that if you pull that money out, that you have a plan to replace it. Right? You don't want to pull it out and then completely forget about it, and then someday go to retire and be $40,000 short.
Sure. Absolutely.
What kind of things do you have in place? What does that mortgage payment look like? Do you have a plan to slowly put the money back in, or what does it look like for you? And to talk to your advisor about all the taxes and all that stuff too.
Yeah, I would suggest that everybody talk to their financial advisors a couple times a year. There's actually some new rules in terms of gifting and inheritance tax and some other things that my financial advisor was telling me that has kind of flown under the radar. So this is sort of an aside away from mortgages, but if you're not talking to your financial advisor at least twice a year, you really need to, because things change quickly.
All right, so we have the bridge loan, we have pulling some funds from other things such as that, but is there any other options? I mean, folks, gifting?
Yeah, gifting. I mean, we document gifts all the time. If you have a family member that's willing to extend some funds your way so that you can get into that new house, that is completely above board, we can document it, and it is an easy way to help you get into that new home without needing to sell. Adding a family member to your new loan, let's say the issue is, I would love to be non-contingent, I just can't afford the two mortgages. Well, if you have a mother, father, whoever can go on your loan to add more income, you're probably going to refi this loan in the next year or two anyways, and you get that person off of the loan. So that the option is to leverage a gift from a family member, leverage them going on the loan to help you qualify for more so that you can carry two mortgages temporarily, obviously. Those are ways to not only get money, but just to help the transaction move along. If you are a first-time home buyer and you're not selling a home, Now we've kind of focused on that, but if you are a first-time home buyer, remember there's so many programs out there. We have the USDA loan down here that's just fantastic. We have Maryland Mortgage Program to get down payment funds. We have FHLB grants, Federal Home Loan Bank grants. We have the First Home Dream program, First Home One, which is basically a 1% down conventional loan. We have so much at your disposal to limit your out-of-pocket expense. If you don't have a lot saved,
that's right.
Don't be afraid of the conversation. I can sort of tell you what you have available to you, and then I still might say, hey, I would feel better if you had a little bit more than $2,500 in the bank. Why don't you, over the next few months, try to get to this number, which is 3-4 mortgage payments in the bank and or money for closing costs or down payment. And then I think that from an advisor perspective, it makes sense for you to buy a house. I always look at it from that macro level. Hey, should this person really be entering in a mortgage transaction right now? The numbers might say yes, but I really don't, if your HVAC unit goes up or something like that, I want you to have the funds to be able to pay
go on vacation, take your family to Disney, do things like that. Still got to be able to do things like go out to eat, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So I always tell people the types of loans, that's another good shift. So I tell people the money down, I don't give specific numbers, and they're like, oh, how much do I need to put down? Like, well, there's a lot of factors, debt to income, there's a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But in general, what are some generic ranges for an FHA, a VA, USDA, and conventional?
Yeah, USDA and VA are no money down, so you can finance 100% of the sales price. FHA is 3.5% down minimum, and then conventional, if you're a first-time home buyer, you can do as little as 3% down. If you're a secondary home buyer, you can actually do a 5% down conventional loan. So we're talking 0, 3.5, 3, 5. Have I said 20 yet?
No, you didn't yet. But in my head, I'm like, it's got to be 20.
Yeah, there's not a 20% down payment requirement for anybody these days.
Wow. But the 20% gets rid of the PMI.
It does. Yeah. It does get rid of the PMI.
Yeah, mortgage, for those that don't know, PMI is mortgage insurance. So essentially the banks say, hey, listen, just in case you default or something happens, we're building this little extra cushion to pay for things in case we need to foreclose on you. Is really the skinny.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, it's an insurance for a lender to say you don't have 20% skin in the game, so to speak. So we're going to set aside a piece of your payment every month. But again, if we are agreeing that rates will eventually fall, and there's a refi opportunity in the future, that PMI is something that you're going to set up for your first loan, and then you're going to do it again in the second loan. By the time the second loan comes around and rates have improved by 0.75%, maybe we'll consider something like a single premium, which is something that you buy out the mortgage insurance in cash. You're not paying it monthly. It doesn't make sense to do it now because you're going to refi this loan. Maybe you do a monthly premium and only pay it for a year and a half. So we're going to get creative on your purchase. We're going to get creative on your refi as well.
And then some of those loans you can get rid of the PMI when you're 80-20 loan to value. Not all, but some.
Yeah. So conventional is the only one that actually has PMI, private mortgage insurance. USDA has something called the USDA annual fee. FHA has something called MIP, which is their version of it, and USDA and FHA, it's actually fixed for as long as you have that loan.
Got it.
Conventional does fall off once you get to 78% loan to value. It's automatic. When you get to 80% loan to value, you can apply to have it removed.
Got it.
Yeah.
So as the cost of the houses, the values are starting to go up a little bit, and you're making payments, you're creating a gap a little bit faster, and so
sure. Or if you make large
an extra payment too.
Renovations, if you build equity through renovations, you can actually have it removed. If you can prove what you've done to the house, then they'll have the house appraised and maybe have it removed. So there's a lot of different ways to do it.
So there you go. A lot of the folks that have lots of fears, there's different ways, there's a lot of different options. At least sit down and do the numbers, see what they look like. I've had at least 3 people we've sent to your way recently that just want to see what those numbers look like. They're not quite ready yet, but they want to see what it looks like. And I talked to them about bridge loans and things of that nature. So they've had that initial conversation. And so now they have a plan, right? Once you know what you need to get to, you have goals.
Yeah, I sat down with somebody recently that was a client of yours, and I think he's several months out. He just is a planner, and I'm all about that. It makes my job easier when it actually comes to the transaction that we've prepared you properly. So, it's never too early.
So there you go. That's it. And if you think about it too, renting's fine. It's an option. We have a few rentals, but if you talk about the deposit, first month, last month rent, that's a chunk of change. That's not that different than what you're going to put down for the buyer of a house. Sometimes it makes sense for you. Maybe you're just feeling out the area. Maybe you just want to see. Maybe, I don't know. But don't let that frighten you, because if you're like, I'm going to move and get a different rental, those numbers aren't probably as far off as you think they are.
Yeah, that's a good point with the deposit and 2 months of rent. I mean, you're halfway to a down payment.
Almost 10 grand sometimes.
Or you've already paid for a closing cost on a USDA loan, so... Yeah.
But anyway, so feel free to reach out. We will see you. Our next event's the 23rd. We're gonna be at Garrett Music up in Dunkirk. Come try out some instruments. If you've always wanted to try, they do adult classes, kids classes, everything. I'm gonna play the drums. I'm definitely gonna sit down. I'm definitely gonna do some drumming. So we'll see you there. You can listen to my terrible drumming. There'll also be demos and a little bit of Name That Tune.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that'll be a fun time.
What a blast. That's cool, man.
And of course, St. Patrick's on the 16th. Not 17, 16, because they requested a Saturday.
Well, we will be doing a video right before that.
That's right.
Which is great.
It'll be a Friday video.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I appreciate your time again here today.
Happy Valentine's Day, Billy.
We kind of got a few things for each other, but we don't really do it. We just, once you get like kids of our ages and stuff, you're like, it's a lot.
My wife loves it.
Yeah.
Candy for the kids.
Yep.
I did the flowers. Yeah.
You didn't do dinner or any of that stuff anymore? I made dinner.
We did carry out.
Carry out? I made dinner. I had some sassafras steaks. Cooked up some sassafras steaks. So.
Oh, delicious.
Oh,
delicious.
Yeah. The kids don't like steaks, so chicken nuggets. Done and done. Everybody wins.
I love it.
All right, sir. We will see you again soon. We appreciate it. And we'll see you again next month. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys.